What is up, Packer fans? Back again. It is week 10. It is week 10. The Packers are 5-2-1, and the Eagles are coming into town. Philadelphia 6-2, coming off a bye week. The team that knocked the Packers out of the playoffs last year, and if you remember week 1, they beat us down in Brazil, beat us twice last year. But the one in Brazil and then the one in the playoffs were not at Lambeau. We get them at Lambeau. Obviously, Packers coming off a tough loss to the Panthers, 16-13, a game where they lost Tucker Kraft for the season, torn ACL. Tough loss for Green Bay. He was leading the Packers in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Packers are going to need Luke Musgraves to really step up in his absence. But for the Packers, it's going to come down to stopping the run. Against the Panthers, we could not stop Rico Dowdle. He had 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 25 carries. They only threw for 102 yards. Bryce Young, not very productive, did have an interception also in the end zone. So Packers should have won that game. They knew that the Panthers could pretty much only run the football. That's their main weapon. Dowdle been really good for them, had 2 200-yard games. Packers could not get it done, could not stop the run. And now they have Saquon and Jalen Hurts and Tank Bigsby coming in. Tank Bigsby coming in, and and these guys just ran. I mean, they had a bye week last week, and the week before that they played the Giants. They won 38-20. Saquon had 150 yards rushing, 14 carries only, and then Tank Bigsby had on 9 carries had over 100 yards. I think he had 104 yards rushing. And so for the Eagles, it was the first time they had 200 yards rushers in I forgot how many years or if ever or whatever the stat was. But first time in a while for the Eagles to have that. But Saquon starting to get going now later in the season. Some of the defenses were doing things to stop the run, stop Saquon. Now the Eagles have figured things out to kind of get him going. Jalen Hurts also coming off of one of his better games. He had 179 yards passing only, 4 touchdowns though. 2 to Goddard, and he has a bunch of other playmakers. A.J. Brown, I don't know if he didn't play against the Giants or if he was just, unproductive because I don't think he had a catch. Devontae Smith did have 6 catches, and Jahan Dotson playing well as well. But for the Packers, obviously, it's going to come down to can we stop the run? Can we get points scored on the offensive side of the ball? First drive last week, looking good, and then Savion Williams fumbled it. They did get Savion back involved later on in the game, but that fumble really hurt us, kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. But for the Green Bay, Jordan Love, played well against the Steelers. Obviously, a lot of hype going into that game. They won. Then the trap game against the Panthers, a game they should have won. Obviously, I was thinking win against the Steelers after beating the Cardinals, dominate the Panthers. I predicted like 38-10, I think. So a little bit off on that one, but I really thought they'd dominate after the way they played against the Steelers and then kind of carry that momentum into the Philly game. Now, after all the hype of the Steeler win and then the Steelers, what they did against the Colts, but then obviously the Packers losing so bad to the Panthers. I mean, it was only by 3, but the way they looked was so bad. And so now it's going to be up to the Packers to kind of regroup, bounce back, do it all now without Tucker Kraft, which is going to be tough. And now the Eagles, before the trade deadline, they got Jair Alexander from the Ravens. Did not work out in Baltimore for Jair. And they got one of my favorite players on the Dolphins. I don't like a lot of guys on the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill maybe and Waddle. But on the defensive side, I really like Jalen Phillips. I think he was like a 3-time Pro Bowler, one of their leading sack guys on the season, and a guy the Eagles went out and got. So now the Eagles definitely have more firepower on the defensive side of the ball. But for the Packers, on the offensive side of the ball, can we move the ball against this defense? Can we run the football? Josh Jacobs did have 87 yards rushing. Manuel Wilson didn't get going as much as we would have liked him to. But for the Packers, this is kind of historic. So in 2009, Aaron Rodgers, 27 years old, going on his Super Bowl run. That season, one of my favorite players in Packers history, number 88, Jermichael Finley, went down with a career-ending neck injury. So hard to see. I think it was in Cleveland, or maybe it was in Green Bay, but I think it was against Cleveland. But anyway, so he was out for the season. The Packers had to kind of regroup. Finley was coming off some good games. He had some good games in the playoffs the year before against the Cardinals, and so he was a guy that Aaron Rodgers was really starting to get used to and become a really productive member of this offense, along with the receivers they had: Jennings, Driver, James Jones, and I think Jordy Nelson. So the Packers really had stud receivers, and at this time, with Finley going down, it was up to Rodgers to kind of regroup, figure out who he had out there, and he started slicing people up with those receivers. The Super Bowl, we know Jennings with the touchdowns, obviously Nick Collins, but with the interception for the touchdown. But anyway, so Aaron Rodgers, kind of a historic moment now. Jordan Love going into this season, 27 years old. Tucker Kraft, star tight end, and then he gets hurt, out for the season, ACL. Thankfully, it's not as bad as Drew Michaels' injury, but he is still out for this season. And now with Love, I keep getting them mixed up. With Jordan Love now, he's going to have to, figure out the receivers he has. He had Watson back the last 2 weeks. He's hopefully getting Wicks back soon. Dobbs has been playing well. Malik Heath has been playing a little bit better. And then we're supposed to get Jaden Reed before the Thanksgiving break. I'm guessing, we play Thanksgiving against the Lions. I'm thinking he'll be back before that, maybe that week against the Lions. But the Packers really do have a tough stretch. I know they play the Eagles this week, and then they have the Giants, and then they play 3 division games in a row. Really going to start getting close. Obviously, the division really tightened up this week with the Lions losing, the Vikings beating them, and the Bears winning against the Bengals. All the division, the NFC North is really close. Packers obviously still on top, but Vikings, Detroit, and the Bears are all right there, right behind us. We all have winning records. I think it's the only division in the NFL that has all teams with winning records, with no losing records at least. So, okay, so for the Packers, going up against this Eagles team, obviously we know Jalen Hurts, what he brings to the table. He can run the ball really well. He can throw decently, but a lot of what he brings is just his toughness. Obviously, the tush push, getting those short yardage situations, keeping the drives alive, things like that. Then they have Saquon Barkley coming off his best game against the Giants 2 weeks ago. Tank Bigsby, also a really productive running back. He played for the Jaguars, and now the backup to Saquon. Doesn't get a lot of touches, but last week, 9 carries, 140 yards. Big game for him. Then A.J. Brown, it says he's questionable. Maybe he was out against the Giants and he did not play at all. But we'll see if he's in. And then Devontae Smith, obviously Heisman. He's a guy that's very productive. A little bit undersized, but a very productive receiver. And then Jahan Dotson, a guy they like also, but a guy that's also still kind of developing. Didn't really transition to be the productive receiver they thought he would be, but he's still a guy that they use here and there. Then Dallas Goedert coming off 2 touchdown game against the Giants 2 weeks ago, and a guy that Hurts really goes to a lot. Look for him to have a lot of targets. I look for Equay and Edgerrin Cooper to kind of trap him up, but we'll see what happens with this offense. For the Eagles. And then, they have a stud offensive line. Lane Johnson at right tackle, the fixture out there. Mulata at left tackle. Dickerson at left guard. And then Jurgens at center. He's questionable, so we'll see if Toth goes in there. And then Steen at the right guard position. So really a solid offensive line for the Eagles. They really run the ball well. They have, for the last few seasons. And then this season a little bit slow, but like I said, they got kind of back on track last week, and now with Jalen Phillips coming in from the Dolphins, and I don't think Jair's probably going to play, but we'll see. Maybe they just brought him in just to get a little dirt on Jordan Love or whatever this week, and then they're going to cut him or trade him, or not, they can't trade him anymore, but cut him after that. I don't think he's going to last very long in Philly. I thought he'd really like being in Baltimore and kind of go back with Lamar Jackson, the guy he played with in college, but that just didn't work out. So for the Packers, going up against that really tough Eagles offense, I think Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary had one of their worst games combined. Both of them weren't very productive. There's games where Micah didn't really do a whole lot, but Rashawn was able to get home. And then other games, obviously, Micah and Rashawn both have been very productive. So not a lot out of them against the Panthers. I got to see more out of them. This is going to be a big week. Really good offensive line. Can those guys get home? I wonder if Lucas Van Ness will be back this week. He might be. It might be another week, so we'll see about that. Brenton Cox, still, I don't know what's going on with him. I'd love to see him out there. And then Kingsley Enagbare, I know he was in some trade rumors, but hopefully the Packers keep him. Whenever he's out there, he seems to make some plays. At least once a game, he makes a really good play. A loss of 5, I think, against the Steelers, and then really productive when he was out there against the Panthers. But we definitely need some more pass rush against this offensive line for the Eagles. It's going to be tough. And then in the middle, all the running lanes, I don't know if we're completely the two inside guys fall, Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden and Nazir Stackhouse, whoever's in there. I don't believe it's their fault for the rush attack of the Panthers last week and some of the issues the Packers have had stopping the run. So we'll see what happens against this Eagles team. Hopefully they can stonewall Saquon, but I feel like it's going to be a tough day for this Packers defense. I don't know what's going to go on with this rush attack for the Eagles. Obviously, they've kind of been slow early in the season, and then against the Giants, they really stepped it up. But Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, all playing really well right now, and I hope that they can kind of shut Saquon down. Xavier got an interception last week in the end zone, one that actually mattered, one that actually helped his team, so he's got 2 now in the season. And then he had a strip sack, but the ball went to the Panthers. So good game for him. Evan Williams, I got to see some more out of him. And then on the corners, Keyshawn Nixon still struggling outside. Nate Hobbs really struggling. I want to see him make a play. He almost had one where it went right over his head, but still hasn't made a play. And then Carrington Valentine, he's playing well. He really is playing well. He's probably playing the best out of all the corners for the Packers. But we need some more playmaking out of those guys on the outside. So we'll see what happens. Javon Bullard, haven't heard a lot out of him in the last few weeks. He's a guy that's out there a lot. We just need some more playmaking out of all these guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It just seems like, other teams are able to just do what they want, and the defense is just kind of there. It's not super easy to score touchdowns against this defense, but to move the ball, keep the ball, time of possession has really been a struggle. The Bengals kind of did it. Obviously the Panthers did it. So tough, and the Browns did it a little bit, but with that game we threw away. And the Cowboys, obviously, they did it, but we kind of were going in a shootout with them, 40 points. So now for the Packers, just shutting down Saquon, getting that defense figured out, stopping the run, and then keeping Jalen Hurts at bay. Don't let these tush pushes push you all the way down the field. I know they ran it 4 times in a row. The Packers would really hate if that happened in Lambeau. So let's hope that does not happen. Let's stop that. And then on the offensive side of the ball, for Green Bay, like I said, Jordan Love, coming off of an okay game, his completion percentage is really good. He really has improved that from his first and second year. He was at 55, and now he's up to about 70, which is where you want to be. You want to be 68 or so. So really good for Jordan Love. He is playing much better. Obviously, the interception last week, I would not have thrown that ball. I don't know what he was looking at. I kind of listened to him talk, and I still don't understand what he was looking at, throwing it up in triple coverage. I know the other corner fell off his guy, and he was able to get back, but it's still not a great play in that situation at that time of the game with the score the way it was after getting the challenge that the Panthers tried to do, overturned, but for a first down. So, it was first down, 1st and 10, our Packers ball, just had a challenge overturned, and he throws it up for a pick. So kind of a bummer, and then almost threw a pick in the end zone that could have been a pick 6 later on in the game. So Jordan Love just has to clean up some things. Obviously, I love watching him play against the Steelers. He's amazing. He's had some really great games this year, and so it's just going to be up to him to keep kind of developing and kind of just be a little bit more consistent each and every week. Josh Jacobs got going great last week, 87 yards. Has trouble getting over that 100-yard mark, but he really is consistent with his yardage, and just got to get him going. Against this Philly defense, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. So got to get him going, see if Emmanuel Wilson can get going, see if Chris Brooks can get going a little bit. Just whoever's out there just has to, get the yards they need to get. And then it really starts up front. Obviously, the Philly defense is so tough up front. Rasheed Walker at left tackle has got to keep playing well. Left guard, Aaron Banks went out last week. Sean Ryan moved over to left guard. And then I don't know if it was after that where Tucker got hurt, but Sean Ryan's the reason he got kind of pushed back from the defense. Not the reason why Tucker got hurt, but he got pushed back into Tuck. So, but he was at left guard anyway. And then Elkin Jenkins playing center, still playing well at center. And then right guard, if Aaron Banks can't go, right guard will be Jordan Morgan, who's been playing okay too, but he's gotten beat inside. Some of the plays last week where there was just a blitz up the middle and nobody blocked him, and Jordan Love had to just kind of scramble for his life or just throw it away quick. Got to get that cleaned up, especially against this Philly defense who is going to bring it. And so then at right tackle is Zach Tom. He's healthy. Seems like he's back to normal. Seems like he's good to go. So the offensive line, running back, everybody's kind of getting going, but we just have to keep moving the football, and Matt LaFleur has to start calling better plays at better times and just being better at clock management. Overall, just better head coaching when it comes to these, in-game situations and in-game, strategy type things. So, all right, so Green Bay now at wide receiver without Tucker Kraft. Luke Musgraves has to step up. I know they probably bring Ben Sims back maybe if he's available, and then the other John Fitzpatrick is the other tight end who's caught some balls this season, but I think he also had a fumble, so he's a guy or a drop that was a big time drop. So one of the two. I just remember him not making the play he should have. But anyway, so for the Packers at tight end, can Musgrave step up? He was drafted second round out of Oregon State, 6'6", can run. If we can get him down the seam and do some of that action, I think he could be productive. He had his best game, I think, in a long time, 3 catches last week. So I look for him to kind of keep it going. And then at wide receiver, can Wicks get back? That'll help. But, Watson, keep him going. Dobbs has been playing great, pretty much leading the number 1 receiver right now for the Packers. And then Matthew Golden really has been slowing down. I want to see him kind of get back on his horse and get it going here. He started out a little slow, picked it up, and now with Watson back, he's been slow. But maybe with Wicks out and Kraft out now, maybe Golden will get back in the mix. I just really want to see some more progress from him just because he is so dynamic. I know he missed the deep ball shot. It just went through his arms. It would have been a tough catch, but it's one that I know he thinks he should have made. So just got to keep him involved, keep it going. And then, once we get Reed back, that'll really help, but not this week. Malik Heath's been playing well, and so has Savion Williams. When he gets his chances, obviously that fumble really kind of burned us last week, but otherwise that was his worst play yet, obviously, in the bad critical situation. But for the Packers, going up against this Philly defense, this offense has to be clicking on all cylinders. Everything they need to do, they need to move the football, run the ball, play action fakes, no drops, no pre-snap penalties. So many penalties last week too. And then, obviously those holding calls really burn you at any time. And so just trying to avoid those mental errors. But going up against this Philly defense, this defense is tough. Like I said, they just got Jair Alexander in a trade. They just got Jalen Phillips in a trade. I don't know how Howie Roseman does all this. It's kind of crazy. But they do have a stacked defense now. At left defensive end, they have Ojomo, who's probably having his best season yet. And then Jordan Davis in the middle, Jalen Carter in the middle. Those two guys, I mean, it's like one's like 6'4", 300 pounds. The other's 6'6", 300 pounds. And they both can run, and it's going to be tough in the middle to move those guys. And then, obviously, Jalen Phillips just got to town. He's on the outside. They still have Brandon Graham. They have Campbell. They have Young. They have a lot of other players on the outside that can also bring the heat, bring the pressure, get after Jordan Love. So hopefully the Packers can block it up front. It's going to be a big test for them this week. And then, obviously, we know Zach Bond. He went to Wisconsin, all-pro middle linebacker last year. N'Kobe Dean, I think he will be back. And then Hunt is also out there. The really good linebacking core, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He'll be a backup to those guys, but look for him to be out there once in a while and on special teams. Then here we go. So at corner, obviously, Jair probably won't start. They have Quinion Mitchell out there, Cooper DeJean out there, Adoree Jackson out there, Blankenship at safety. It's just stacked. And so I look for Jair maybe to be on a few plays if he's healthy. He's probably not even healthy. He's been back and forth all season. So, but for the Packers, what a tough defense. What a big test this week, especially after the trade deadline. And I don't think Phillips will be in there for the whole game on every snap. It'll kind of be like a Parsons situation where he'll kind of be acclimated and they'll bring him along slowly. But he'll still be out there. He's still a guy you got to watch for, and along with the rest of this defensive line and defensive front. So for the Packers, it's going to come down to, like I said, blocking up front, running the football, play action fake, getting things set up. No turnovers this week. Can't just throw it up. Can't have a fumble. Can't have an interception. And then, when you get the turnovers, you have to do something with it. McManus has to stop missing field goals. I think if he misses another clutch field goal, Packers are probably going to go back to Lucas Haversick. But Yeah, he missed one against the Steelers before half. That really kind of stalled momentum. Luckily, Jordan Love kind of bailed him out of that one. But this week against the Panthers, missing the field goal, we lost by 3. Again, I think Matt LaFleur messed up on 4th and 8. You just can't. You got to kick the field goal there. There's a lot of game left. Get the points. You don't know what's going to go on. I know his defense was struggling, but you have to have a little bit of faith. And then obviously that 3 points came back to bite him in the butt. The missed field goal and then not going for it not going for the field goal on 4th and 8. So for the Packers, I want LaFleur to clean up some things. Jordan Love's got to be a little more consistent. And this defense, Micah said he's just embarrassed by how they perform sometimes. You can't say you're a Super Bowl contender and then go out and lose to the Panthers like they did. So for the Packers, trying to get 1-0 this week. I think it's going to be a close one. I was thinking earlier I might almost predict the Eagles to win this one, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's going to be close, though. I think it's going to be like a 30-28 type of game. Packers win, maybe last-second field goal by McManus to kind of resurrect himself. It'll be 27-28. McManus will kick it. It'll be 30-28, and the Packers will win. So, wishful thinking, but go Pack, go. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time. Go Packers. Get this win. Oh, yeah, Monday Night Football is going to be a big one. So, thanks again, guys.